Another problem is outgassing from chemicals like cleaning fluids that they clean the buildings with. There's a syndrome called the sick building syndrome. I've had patients who, when they put in new carpeting, the outgassing from the formaldehyde made them have to leave. Or they were getting chemicals off the copy machine when they couldn't go in there because they were sensitive to those chemicals. So it's a widespread problem that people got to find out. You can do preventive and try to avoid it best you can, or find an environment that works for you, or clean the environment in which you're in. A lot of chemicals are used in the creation of a building, and especially newer buildings, or repairing things that have gone wrong, electrical rooms with where they may have chemicals coming off the wiring. It's a very involved situation, and there are specialists that go into these buildings and test the air for these chemicals. You can tell if people would be in danger of being there. I've had many patients, of course I deal with a lot of environmentally sick patients to try to build the immune system, who had to give up their jobs. They put a new carpet, they had to leave, or they started new cleaning fluids, or they started pest control chemicals to keep down the pests. And there are natural products that don't have this, but these patients were allergic to the commercial grade things. And so that would be part of a sick building syndrome. The building has chemicals in it that's making it sick. And of course, the newer construction materials will outgas formaldehyde. If you have foam in between places, that foam outgasses formaldehyde and other chemicals that have been associated with neurological diseases over time. The building where they're working, they're sick, and when they get home and out of the building, they're fine. So they may get migraines, or they might get stomach problems, or they might get anything, rashes. Anyway, these poisons would affect their own particular immune system, and then when they leave that environment, they're fine. So that's kind of a tip-off that there's something there that's not good for them. There are other patients that may, over time, say months or years, develop some severe diseases and not recognize that's from where they're working, and that requires some detective work to figure that out.
Okay.
It can be back problems, it could be anything. The normal, and you have a million abnormals. So the normal is you have clean air going to your lungs. The lungs are taking out the oxygen, getting rid of the carbon dioxide, and that goes through the whole system. And the part of the brain functioning is dependent on good oxygenation, good circulation, and these chemicals prevent that from happening. So you get a wide range of problems, and people will say, I go in this environment and I get agitated, I get a headache, I can't think clearly. They leave them, then they feel better. And that's the people that get it acutely, and that's kind of a blessing because they know right away. Other people, it's a little more insidious. Over time, they begin to see their functioning decreasing, and they don't realize it's from that environment. The chemicals you're taking in may have direct effects upon the brain too, because they get into circulation and they go everywhere. And if your brain is sensitive to some of these chemicals, then you're going to be in trouble. There are chemicals that people bring in when they bring food in. You don't know it. Cleaning on the people's clothes. Some people have clothes that are cleaned with harsh chemicals that people are allergic to. Not everybody, but they may be allergic to it, and find all of a sudden they're sneezing, or they get a cold. They just don't feel like themselves. They don't feel well. So all these things lower the human vitality, and then that lowers their performance at work. Things. It's not just the lungs, because the lungs are the gateway to the circulation for the rest of the body. So what they're taking in is going everywhere, and you can have some of these things affecting the bowels, or affecting the kidneys, or affecting the pancreas, affecting anything. And their first gateway is through the lungs. Bad, it's going to get right into the rest of the body, and where their weak spot is. Everybody has a different weak spot. Some people have asthmatic attacks. Some people have gastritis attacks. Some people have back pain when they get exposed to these chemicals. So it varies with individual. What we have to do for disease prevention is bring us back to some kind of natural way of living. The fluorescent lights aren't good for some people, so they get natural lighting. You drink clean water, you eat good food, and they have to have good air quality. And I've had experience with the Austin air cleaners probably for 30, 40 years now, and they've done a very good job for me. And when you're around people, they're always outgassing the chemicals of the disease. And I found in my office, which is a little 10 by 20 room, that at the end of the day I was getting tired. So I put an air cleaner in there, and at the end of the day I wasn't tired anymore, because I was breathing in all the toxins these people were breathing out, and they're not healthy people, they're sick people, and it was affecting me. So that stopped that. And I was very impressed with that particularly. And another time I had some tile work done, and the place was still dusty, and I put the air cleaner on. About 10, 15 minutes, you would never have known it. So it really took everything out of the air that would have been a pollutant or an aggravation to me, and made the air clean. So that's the idea. I've recommended to several patients who have respiratory conditions, or one in particular got migraines, and she put it in her room, and she was allergic to something that was in the house and didn't know what it was and couldn't find out what it was. She turned the filter on. That was the end of that. It just took out whatever the chemical was. That the filter does chemicals as well as particulate matter. I've had several patients that were hairdressers, and after 10, 15 years of working with these chemicals, a lot of them develop neurological conditions because of the chronic exposure. And I've had several that have used them for a long time and been fine so far, but the salons don't smell. So because it's taking all the petrochemicals out of the smell out of the air that they use when they're doing perms or whatever else women do, and I have no idea.